Okay, so we are recording. If you're brand new to us, we are with IDRC. We're one of the consortiums. There are 4 different consortiums, and we are the Identification and Recruitment Consortium. We also focus a lot on, we have a section that we work on with data, and that's why we're also doing the Data Summit. And so this morning's session, we had asked people to kind of send in questions and we thought we would take some of those questions that were asked the most, or ones that seem to be kind of new things that people are asking related to different issues they're seeing. And so we're gonna touch on some of those today. I know there are a lot of questions that won't be answered, but we will have a little bit of time towards the end of the session where we'll stop recording and we'll let you put out any questions that you really wouldn't want to be recorded. You're just asking your peers for maybe advice or something. So we will have a section at the very end that will be able to do that too. As I'm talking, if you have questions, please use the chat. We do try to pay attention to that kind of in real time. And if I can pay attention to my screens, I also have my colleague, Melissa Shalal, will be talking about one of the questions and with some resources that she has. So let's just jump into it, but feel free to continue. If you're new to us and you just joined, let us know what state you're from and what your position is, and we'll keep paying attention to that. So welcome, big welcome to you. So here is one of the questions that we've received a lot. IDRC in our role, we have 26 member states, but we also provide training and resources to all states. And this is a question that we got not only when we asked data specialists for questions that they have, this is one that keeps coming up. And so we thought we'd take a little bit of time to kind of go through this. The question is, we're building our policies in our state. What are some quality control areas we should be thinking about? And so some of you have really tight quality control programs, areas and decisions that you have that you're constantly looking at. And some of you are looking at building those and where you're going to get started. So we decided to look at the recommendations from the National IDNR Manual, which is on Chapter 11. There are specific basic suggestions and recommendations from OME related to quality control. And I just wanted to highlight a few of these and thought that it might be helpful to have some slides that you can go back to and kind of refer to when you're looking to make sure that your system is set up. So many of you are COE reviewers. There is a session after this that's going to specifically look at what you should be looking at when you're doing COE review. So we're not really going to go into that. Some of you are looking at big picture quality control issues. Some of you are recruiters and you're filling out forms and want to make sure that you're getting everything right. So I'm just going to highlight the suggestions that OME has of things that we should have as far as requirements related to quality control. So it says here, kind of in red, the SEA or state educational agency must establish minimum requirements for a system of quality controls that in order to promote accurate migratory child eligibility determinations. So quality control, there is really kind of a base of what we're supposed to do to make sure that once we find a child, we're really making sure that that child is truly eligible and then they're able to be enrolled in the program. So we're supposed to have this system of controls that will really ensure that this will happen. And so examples of what they're saying is ensure that your system of identifying children is working properly, making sure that if you find anyone that is incorrectly determined to be eligible, that they're taken out quickly, identify what the problem is. And I can 100% assure that in every single state, there will be somebody who's misidentified because we're working with humans, we all make mistakes. So we have to make sure that there's checks and balances in place to catch those kids and make sure that, kids that are not eligible, they're not staying in the system. And so they have said, here are a few things that they're suggesting. You have to have that quality control system. You have to have this process for re-interviewing. You have to have a process for reviewing COEs and ensuring that at least one party reviewed the COE prior to certification. You have to have a process that shows how you resolve eligibility questions and a process and procedures that really are looking at how you're going to keep your records. So this touches on a lot of work that data staff do. And so you may not be doing the re-interviewing, or you may be, looking at the results of the re-interview, or you may be the ones pulling the ones that need to be re-interviewed. So your fingers are in all of these areas, and you want to make sure that you're really aware of it. So the core responsibility of this quality control is that we're ensuring that the right kids are in the program, we're really serving them, and we're able to identify them quickly. So it says here, a strong system will result in inspecting and testing MEP eligibility, particularly in areas where problems are the most likely to occur. If I'm a recruiter supervisor and I'm working with my data staff, I have brand new recruiters, I am definitely going to be checking those COEs. Those are, there's so many rules, so many things that recruiters need to know. There's going to be a chance. I'm not just going to have a data staff just looking at it. Oh, okay, looks good, and signing it without truly looking at the history, doing all the work to look and make sure I see if this child's ever been in the system, make sure the dates and everything look good. And then a certain amount of those, we're going to actually be reaching out and talking back with those families and seeing if they're eligible. If we find anything wrong, taking corrective action to make sure that those problems don't happen. What happened? Was it just, in the conversation, something was missed, a question was not asked? It says the goal is also to receive fewer complaints, maintain public confidence by ensuring that federal dollars are spent on migrant children. So in that section that OME has, they give examples of what they call process-oriented quality control, providing the right kind of orientation. Same thing for data staff. If you're a supervisor and you just put someone to review COEs and they're not even aware of eligibility, then it's going to be really hard for them to ensure that that COE really is eligible, that they understand all the nuances of why, looking at the dates and the story of it to make sure it all makes sense. Want to make sure that this process-oriented quality control is also hiring the right kind of people. They're testing the knowledge of the people so that they know, ensuring that they know eligibility rules. And so just keep this in mind. We're going to talk about a little bit more about what this looks like. So process-oriented control, they say, having the supervisor observe the recruiter as she conducts an eligibility interview. I would also say for your data quality, having a supervisor that knows how to enter all the things that you need to enter and also helps observe and check and make sure everything is correct in that. Checking with the recruiter on a regular basis to make sure that there is a systematic, logical, and efficient interview process. And then it talks about all these different policies and incentives to reduce things. So this is kind of this idea of process. So when they start talking about, big picture quality control, they're talking about the training that needs to happen, that the recruiters, and I would also say data staff or anyone that's going to be involved in any eligibility or any review process really understands how to do that correctly. Then there is the right kind of supervision and evaluation. So this is something that some states lately have been monitored on, and they say, do you do an annual review of staff related to the practices of recruitment? Is there regulations that show that there are qualified individuals at the state level and at the LOA level, the local level, to verify the COE, that it's sufficient, that the information is correct? So specifically, you want to make sure if you are data staff and you're saying, I don't even know the rules and regulations of the Migrant Ed program, you want to make sure that you really know those, and then you understand clearly what needs to be on the COE, and you can find those errors if they are there. Then they've specifically also asked that we have specific state policies. And so states have asked with quality control, what are the policies that we're supposed to look at? And so there's several examples that they say you should have these types of policies. And so one is an example of what is school completion. It says under federal law, migratory child can still be served as long as this child is entitled to free public education in his or her state. So sometimes there's different rules on what that looks like in each state and how that's handled. And so here are 3 examples that they specifically mention that states should have policies on. So one is the age, like it says here, age beyond which a child is no longer entitled to free and public education. Some states have established an upper age limit for when this child stops being eligible for public education. So if that is the case, then your state would have to have a specific policy to really address that. The second one says here, states must have requirements for school completion. Each state sets its own requirements for high school diplomas, for the GED test, for certificates of completion, and these laws vary state to state. Under some state laws, they could be awarded their GED, for example, a certificate of completion, a certificate of course completion, or a certificate by other name, which does not terminate their right to pursue a high school diploma. So if your state has that kind of policy, you have to make sure that you're looking how that fits within MEP. And the state must determine whether degrees other than a high school diploma terminate a child's right to continue to attend high school. So this is one example. They're saying states should have a policy, specifically for high school completion. Another one would be state rules in regard to degrees from other countries. States have different rules, whether a child who has received a high school diploma or degree in the child's home country is eligible to obtain high school diploma. So you would want to make sure that you looked at that and that everyone in your state knew what your policy was specifically for that. So these are just a couple examples of policies. One other one that we've really seen come out recently is that the state has to have a formal process for resolving eligibility questions. So a recruiter comes to a supervisor or to data specialist and says, hey, I've got this question. Like, what about this particular case? OME wants us to have a written process that kind of disseminates whatever our answers were to any of the other recruiters so they could say, okay, Jessica asked this question. This is what her supervisor responded. And that way everyone can see this is the formal process we have to answer questions and then also disseminate the answers that we have. So that is something also that has come up lately. There also has to be a process validating eligibility determinations. So it says, we kind of talked about this. I won't spend a lot of time on it. And then pretty much everything that is required of the state that I just mentioned, the local agencies are supposed to be working within those same kind of realms. So if it was required that, that there was a thorough process for the state to review COEs, there also should be a thorough process on the local level to review those COEs. So I just wanted to kind of give some of the big picture quality control so that if you're wondering what should be happening, you're able to see that and to be aware of it and kind of know what that looks like. Okay, records keeping. This directly affects most of you guys. It says that as with any federally funded program, the MVP requires a high degree of accountability and record keeping. The child's record of eligibility, identified needs, and the services provided should be documented and maintained either electronically or in paper file. I know that some still do very much paper files, but a lot of us have moved on to kind of an electronic side. Okay, so now we're moving on to a totally different question. If anyone has any comments or suggestions of anything that they have particularly found helpful about quality control or something they do that they want to share in the chat box, feel free to go ahead and answer that. So lately we've had a lot more a lot more interviews that have been done over the phone or through Zoom or different tools. And so we've had a lot of questions of when is it appropriate to get an electronic signature now that the pandemic has ended. Now, a lot of you have seen what OME has sent out, that you still can go ahead and get signatures. You can do those virtual interviews, but whenever it's possible, they prefer face-to-face, but we wanted to kind of address some of those questions. And so we say here first, whenever possible, it's good to get an in-person signature. I know I talked a lot yesterday about Tennessee. When I was in Tennessee, we didn't have enough funding. And so we, a long time ago, asked if we could get signatures, if we could do several things over the phone, because if it was 5-6 hours to drive out somewhere and we didn't have any staff, we'd try to do a lot, mailing things back and forth or try to talk to the family over the phone first to make sure they were eligible. And so there's a lot of money that can be saved by being able to kind of streamline that process. But at the same time, you never want to if you can see someone face to face, you want to for sure do that. But here are some reasons that states have recently shared when it would be appropriate to get electronic signatures. So this is just a really interesting, this was done really well to say, okay, if there's unsafe conditions, if there's, you can see weather, natural disasters, construction problems, a second liaison, maybe your district requires that 2 of you need to go together. Maybe it's an all male group that you're trying to go into and it's a female that's feeling not quite comfortable going in. Maybe there's alcohol or drug use. You can see you can see here, adverse conditions, the comment that they might put in the COE. Maybe transportation, it's too far for you to be able to go, or maybe you had car problems, or maybe somebody's sick in the home or you're sick. And so, or the parent refused to sign or they're not able to sign. So there's a bunch of different reasons why it might be appropriate. But one of the challenges, what happens if you still need to get that, you're still trying to get that signature? What's the best way to be able to get that? And so we wanted to share a tool that could kind of help, that's a free tool to be able to get electronic signatures, because some of you may be, needing that FERPA signature and you're trying to figure out, do we have someone drive out and go get that? Do we mail them something? What's an easy way that we can be able to do that? So I have asked Melissa to share. She did a lot of work for us. One of our work groups, our data work group specifically said, we would like to have a tool that hopefully is free that we could easily get electronic signatures. And so she did a bunch of research on a whole bunch of different tools. And she came out with our favorite that is free and easy to use. And so she's going to do a quick, she's going to walk you through, not particularly quick, but walk you through how to use it, what it is, and how it might be helpful. And so I am going to stop sharing. Make sure you can share and turn the time over to you.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay, I hope you can hear me okay. And so we are going to look at PandaDoc. Well, first, let me share my screen. Okay, so PandaDoc is one of many platforms that you can collect e-signatures. So, but this is the one that's free, and that you can do pretty much everything that you need to do in regards to collecting the signature on the COE. It's an all-in-one tool to create, collaborate, and e-sign documents. As you can see, it's free. Unlimited legally binding e-signatures, unlimited document uploads, payments, and mobile app. So you can put this platform or this tool, this app in your phone as well. So the benefits of using this tool for our benefit in MEP is that the signatures are legally binding e-signatures. And there are complying with e-sign and UETA, which you can read more information on this link, and we will be sharing this PowerPoint. They're also HIPAA compliant and SOC2 Type 2 certified. But most importantly, they're FERPA compliant. So you can feel comfortable using this tool and submitting your COEs through this tool. And like I said, they have an app, and we will be using the app on the phone. So, and that's my phone. This is a work phone. So documents on the go anytime, anywhere. So this is great for recruiters. If you don't have a computer handy and you need to send it to a parent, you can use it. You can do it through your phone. So we're gonna jump into the tutorial now. Let me exit this. Okay, so this is the dashboard for PandaDoc. And one of the things that I need to say, when you create your PandaDoc account, you probably want to use your email address, the one that you always use. And one caveat to that is that, and I'll explain it later, it's just you need to keep in mind that this is created with your email account. So if you were creating a form and you sent it to yourself, trying to just get the link shared through text with a parent, it's gonna ask you to sign it. So you can't do that. You can't send it to yourself to try to get the link. And I'll explain it, because for this tool, they don't have a way to text directly a link to the parent if they don't have an email address. So what you can do is actually grab the link and text it to the parent, but I'll explain further. So we'll begin by, this is the dashboard, and then we go to settings. And then these are just the regular settings with your information. You can change the language of the dashboard if you were more comfortable with another language. Then you can even put your own signature here. Then on the notifications, you can also change the notifications so you don't get that many notifications, because the way I have it is that, and maybe you do want all the notifications that, you know, they send you an email. Well, you do want this one if the document failed when you sent it. And then when it was open and when they when they viewed it and when they signed it. So it could send you tons of emails telling you what's going on with the document. So here's where you change notifications. Then under settings, again, on the bottom, you have options for the signatures that you will collect. So you can make this available that they draw in their signature, or they type it in, or they can upload an image. So you can have all these options. Then you can have for the initials also, you can change that. Over here, I recommend that you leave this blank because you don't want to send the COE through email. So this will ensure that your COE information is within PandaDoc, which is FERPA compliant, and as nothing is getting through email. So this I would leave unmarked. Then this one I did change to Spanish just for this tutorial. You can change it to all these other languages. So if you have had a parent that speaks Italian or any of these languages, they will get a customized email, and all the options when they open the document are going to be in their language. So I have Spanish here, and you will see how that looks. So the rest is just, you can look at that, but this is the most important things that I set up on mine. So when we go to home here, so you have up here, you can add a document. So we are going to do that. So upload a document. And I'll select my document. And I have a sample here. Sample COE with my information, just bogus information. It's the national COE. And here is where they ask you for an email address. So here is where you would put in the email address of the parent. And if they don't have an email address, what I suggest is putting an alternate email that you have. Maybe, you could use, I have 5 accounts, so I'm just gonna put one that I have. So I used it a lot already. So you just put another email account. And then I continue. And this is for somebody that does not have an email account. So then on the bottom here, you can see the PandaDoc recognized 98 form fields in the uploaded document. So sure, but you don't need the parent to complete anything but the signature. So I'm gonna say no thank you, because it could make it also you put in the information, but you don't need that for this instance. So no thanks. And while I'm here, so you have your COE, it's completed, and then you are gonna grab the signature, put it here, and you can make this big or small, you can move it. Then over here, you can change the properties. So if you click properties, you can put a placeholder over here on the right. And the placeholder means that they will see what you type in there, just, so you could put firma, that's signature in Spanish. So you could put that, and then you require that. So the document would not be finished until they sign it. All right, so I also want to put in the date. So I grab the date and put it here. Make this smaller. Just move it somewhere here. All right. So, and then just note right here that the person that needs to put in that information is Melissa O. So it's not, so you can always change that if you had a different person. But for this one, you just have one person that's going to sign the COE. That's good. I think that looks good. Sorry, good. So let me send it. So I'm going to go to the top and send. Just give me a second. Send via email. So I know that I said that you can grab a link and I will show you how, but you first have to send it via email. So send via email, and I'm sending it to myself. And then over here, I'm just gonna type in this migrant education form COE, save and continue. Over here, I can put a message like this. Dear Mr. Perez, please sign the document as soon as possible. Thank you. And I'm gonna send the document. So it's sent. Now that I sent that, let's go look at my email. Well, no, sorry. Let's go to the email that I use, my alternate email. And let's see if here it is. I got this email. So PandaDoc sent this email to the alternate email address that I used. And it's in Spanish. Melissa Chalate enviado migrant education form a través de PandaDoc. So if this was in German, it will be in German. This message here will be in the other language. Then over here, it looks like also Spanish right here. Over here, it's in Spanish, open document. So they would know what to do. So you click right here. And this is what the parent would see. Okay, and over here says start. So if I was the parent, I would click start. And it says that this is the signature. So because I put firma, so signature, and that it's a required field. So I'm gonna click there and I can draw it, or I can, type it like this. So let's do that one. So I can even change the color. Let's do blue. So accept and continue, and all that is in Spanish. And over here on the bottom, all of this is in Spanish. So they can read it and understand what they're doing. Accept and continue. Then the next thing I need to do is I need to put the date. So today, March 21st. Now you see this little arrow that's moving. Looks like I'm done. So finish. Now it looks like the next screen that they'll see is this one. And it says that you finish everything. And then you can download this document that you signed. So when you sign a document, you can get a copy. So this will be the equal to that. So you click right here. It's in Spanish. It says download it, the document that you signed. So it's creating the PDF. And I'm just gonna put it here. Let's open it and see what it has. So it's got the COE that the parents signed. So now they have their copy signed, and you have a certificate of their signature. It says when it was signed, sent, viewed, and signed. And it's got the IP address, it's got the location, all of this information that you need. And that is legally binding. So now let's look at the emails that I got as the sender. So it looks like PandaDoc sent me an email that says that the document was viewed. Okay. And the document was completed. Any questions so far? Because I know I'm just rambling.
There was a question on that said we aren't allowed to email anything with PII. So we couldn't send the email. Is there another way to do it without sending an email?
Well, you're not sending but an email which
Can't you-
contains the email address and a link. So you're not sending PII. You're sending them a link for them to go into PandaDoc. And that's what we did. So the COE is not in the email, it's in PandaDoc. It's never sent via email. I
Yeah,
hope that
so the only
answers.
thing that gets emailed is the link, not the actual COE. So you can
Correct.
text that link to a parent and say,
And I'll
okay,
show
here-
that.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we can see, we got these emails here. And so the parent is done. He signed the COE, and now let's go to back to PandaDoc. Excuse me.
There's another question of who gets the signature certificate. Is it the parent or the
Both.
recruiter?
Both.
Okay.
And I'm gonna show you right now.
Okay.
So over here on the right, on your dashboard in PandaDoc, you can see over here on the right, Melissa Shala, and then here completed. 3 minutes ago, this document was completed. So let's click on that. Okay, so let's move this down. Close this. And see, you can see the signature there. So if you were the recruiter, okay, so the parents signed it. All right, I got it. So let's download it. So here I go trying to download it. Takes a minute. And let's open it up and see what we see. Okay, so you can see it's got the signature and you have the certificate as well. All right, so we're good with that. We're finished with that. Now, if we go here, and I realize I skipped a step, but let's do it again real quick, Jessica. I'm sorry, I'm taking a bit.
You're good. No problem at all.
Okay. All right, so let's do this again, quick. So you see how to send it through text. All right, so you need to put an email address. So we do that. Gonna put the signature here. Okay, and I'm gonna send it via email, save and continue, send it. Now it's sent. Okay, now you go back on the top right here and you can share a link. Well, now you got your phone and I'm gonna go into my phone. And this is the same thing that you would see in your computer. So you click on sent, and it says sent. You probably can't see it, but over here where it says sent, you're gonna click on that COE. On that COE that I just sent. Is the same thing, probably can't see it, but over here on your phone, it's got one option here that says share via link. Just like it's gonna show here. So I see the same thing on my phone. And what I'm gonna do in my phone is copy. I'm gonna copy the link. And I'm gonna go to my messages and message it, send it through text to the parent, to the phone number. So that's how I would do it by text, via text. So, and then they'll go through the same steps that we did here on the computer, but it will be on their phone. And it's the same thing, it's very easy. It's quick and it's FERPA compliant. So that's it. That's all you have to do. I don't know if there are any more questions.
Well, there was a question that said, what about families with low literacy? And I was kind of messaging back, and Gloria messaged back too, to say, that of course with this obviously requires people to know what they're signing, what they're reading, so you definitely have to either walk them through exactly like Gloria mentioned, have them open it up while you're talking to them and let them explain, all right, this is what you need to do, this is why. So, anytime that you have low literate families, you have to make those extra accommodations to make sure that they clearly know what it is that you're having them do. So I thought that was a good suggestion from Gloria you can't just send it link and say, okay, figure it out. You'd have to send the link and then walk them through it and make sure that they clearly knew what they were doing. There was a question of what happens if the family sees the COE and notices that the information is not correct? Could they then correct the COE? And we said, no, it's like a PDF, no. But they could then let us know, hey, you have my kid's name spelled wrong. And then that could be part of it, that when you're reaching out to them to say, hey, I'm going to ask you to sign this form, could you also look over and make sure it's correct? You can always have that dialogue back and forth to make sure that that it's correct before they sign it.
Right, and then you just go yourself and correct it, go here. And I mean, you will have to delete the one that you have here and upload it again. Okay, and then just put the signature box back.
Yeah.
And resend it.
There was a question of who managed the storage and monitoring of the PandaDocs. Where are the signed PandaDoc COEs stored? So it probably would
okay,
be
that,
go ahead.
Yeah, so I would have to, all their information is on their website. I can send additional information. I don't have the answer this second.
Well, and I would suggest too, I know that you can delete off you don't have to keep all your files that you have. You can literally use it so that that you get your signature and then you clean that out. You don't have PandaDoc storing that. You put it in a secure place. And so it's really just the tool to get that signature, and then you're not, you're able to delete that out. So it doesn't just stay. There are some programs that everything that you sign stays in there. You could be able to take those out.
Right, I wouldn't want to keep, and then you can like start getting like confused, so many COEs, I'll just use it for the signature, out, delete it.
Yeah.
And
that was our whole interest in this, was to find a tool that would be free, that would be compliant, that you're not sending emails back and forth. And of course, this is just a tool that we are putting out there. You may say, my state's not going to allow me to do that. We fully understand that. Whatever it is, you can vet this tool yourself, see if it works. SB says, if you have a WhatsApp or have a text mirror on your computer, you can do it via your computer and not have to involve the phone. So that would be another way to do it. And then it says, the practice would be perfect. Most parents don't have a computer. They use their phone. Can the document be sent via WhatsApp? As far as security, I don't know anything as far as WhatsApp or whether
it's just you're sending a link. You're not sending a document. You're sending a link. So you're fine.
Yeah. Maggie says, do we upload the documents on the COE? I'm not sure if you mean Maggie, you were going to give us a little bit more information about your question. Polly Rose, I think this might be a question to everybody. What systems do you use to store your electronic files so that we don't have paper files? Is there a cost involved? So maybe some of you can just kind of in the chat box put what you do related to that. So you would keep, of course, the signed version. Ray says,
and I see Gloria with a question. I just see that it's a 14-day trial to request a memo. It's free. It's free. I know it's confusing, but maybe the demos are for the paid versions and not for the free one, but there is a free one.
So Ray says, does it need to be the whole COE? What if it's only the purpose statement so you can get a signature? We have just said that to be clear, so the family knows what they're signing. Because most of us, if we've been around in MyGranite a long time, we're used to the COE form. When you're trying to get a signature, you're having them kind of look at the whole form, make sure the information's correct. So I know people do electronic COEs. We're just kind of recommending as a good practice that they know what they're signing and they clearly understood for its enrolling. But of course, every state can make their own, policies on how they want to do that. How is the link secure? If you send the link to the wrong person, all that needs to do is a click open.
Don't send it to the wrong person.
That's the case with anything that we do. We want to
I
make
know
sure.
you could mail it to the wrong address, and it's,
Yeah,
you just need to be careful.
yeah. Okay. So yeah, so those are good questions. Does anyone do this with electronic COEs? I'm wondering how we would get them back into the system. So again, that would be something you'd have to talk with whoever is your, can you, are you just storing the signatures so that you have them in case that you need them and you have a secure way to store
And-
those? Or are you
right,
trying to
and
get
it's-
that back in?
And it's just like with paper COEs, if they sign the paper COE like we used to do in Tennessee, you have a cabinet that has all the signed paper COEs, and obviously it wasn't signed in MIS 2000. You could get in contact with your system's provider and say, how do I mark that I have the signature, the electronic signature? So.
So as you can see, this is a tool. We really are just putting it out there to say this is one that everyone can afford, regardless of our budgets. But you then would need to set up your internal system where are you just having them sign a signature that you've already talked to them and they know what it is? Are you having them sign the COE? What are you doing once you get that signature? What happens if the family is low literacy? Low literate, what do you do with that? So there's lots of what ifs that you would have to figure out. We were just trying to say, hey, here's a tool. We like the way that it works. We feel like it would work in the situation. And then you can go back and really see how you can use it. And it's evolving as we get questions. Melissa will be able to look and see if there's a way that we can, answer those questions directly. But so it says, this is not a PandaDoc question. How long do you need to keep scanned electronic COEs? Paper COEs need to be kept 10 years. Is it the same for e-COEs? I am assuming it is the same. If anyone else has a different answer, if you want to put that in the chat box. Okay. So we will maybe leave it up a minute or two, see if you have any other questions. Is anyone gathering signatures a different way? You want to put it in the chat box if you're doing that. If you're, if you have a tool that you like, maybe there's something we're not aware of that you found has worked well, go ahead and put that in the chat box if you have that. And maybe, Melissa, I'll keep you using a touch screen. Yeah, you can do, of course you can always, if they're right there with you, you can, parents come to the office. Yeah, there's all the traditional ways. We get requests for COEs. Now that they're electronic, we'll keep them forever. Just paper signature. So you can see the gamut of how, wide that some of you have really high-tech systems. Some of you are still using the same forms. So it says many states are facing the same concerns. It's great to hear what other states have implemented and how it's working. So any other, besides the traditional ways that we've always gotten them, is there anybody getting signatures a different way? I know some people are still mailing them. They may mail them and say with a, sign here, and then they mail it back. It says there an option that families can refuse the COE once they refuse the COE once they sign. An option, I'm not sure if you mean an option in PandaDoc that says, no, they don't want to sign them. They just wouldn't sign it. So I just assume that they wouldn't, if they want to refuse, they wouldn't even sign the signature, fill it out.
Well, if they sign it already, if they call you,
yeah,
I guess whatever your procedure is at your state level.
So very good comments and I appreciate the extra what SP put as far as the mirroring. I think that's an interesting way to do that too. I hadn't even thought about that. So that's the good thing about getting everybody's thoughts on this. Okay, see if there's any other comments on this. It says Vermont used Cognito forms. It is secure and no PII is included. Okay, so there's another different way. I know there's lots of tools out there because we were looking for something that was free and also would be able to do that link. That was kind of where we settled on. We also do have a spreadsheet of a bunch of other ones that Melissa looked at of kind of the pros and cons. If anyone wants that, you guys can email us and we can definitely share that. But we are big fans of free. so that's where we settled on with that one. And I think we have some states that have been starting to use it. And so, okay, so we're going to go on to the next question that we have. And actually, I'm going to bring it back to Melissa here in just a little bit. So let me get through all my slides here. I had the wrong ones. So we really feel like this has been something that can be helpful. I'm not sharing the right thing. Here we go. Nope, still not sharing the right thing. Okay. So let me go on to the next question here.
Do you want me to share it for you?
Yeah, actually, why don't you go ahead and do that? Because I'm going to pull it back to you here in a second.
Okay. Let me just share that real quick.
Okay.
Share. 1. No, 2. Share. And
bring up our slides. There we go.
here you go. Okay,
okay.
So you go here.
Yeah, go back one more, I think. Okay. So many of you, this is something we keep getting is, I know I'm supposed to be using Excel and I know it would be helpful. So where can I go to just learn? We saw a question that said, do you think I can get paid to learn classes, to really be able to learn some of these things in my job and then get paid for them because it's part of my job? And so I had several questions that came in like that. Like I'm the data entry and I don't really know how to do Excel and I don't really know some of these things. So one suggestion just on a personal level that I think anytime that you see that there's something that can enhance your job, that you can become better at your job, sometimes it requires you to do it in personal time. Sometimes it does not. You can talk to your supervisor, see if that's a possibility. Years ago, I learned web design because my boss, we had horrible websites that we've used and I really wanted a new one. And so I asked if I could learn to, if they would pay me to do the website, pay me to go to these classes. And she said, no, we won't pay you, but if you learn well enough, we'll pay you to do our website. And so I spent a lot of my own personal time to try to learn how to do this, a lot of late nights. But then later on, I was able to learn it and it was able to be something that I still use today in my work that I do now. So just a suggestion that you're always trying to look for those skills and look for those opportunities to learn. Sometimes we're blessed that we're able to be paid by our jobs to learn that. Sometimes it's something you're doing on your personal time to try to improve. So the question was, I'm horrible at Excel. Where can I go to learn to be more proficient? And so go ahead and do the next screen. We have a few Excel trainings that's on our YouTube page. We have tried to retool our YouTube page. Maybe let me pull that up real quick. So I'm going to show that. I'll share my screen in just a second. If you're not familiar with our YouTube page, then let me just pull this up. On our website, if you scroll down just a little bit, we have the YouTube link right here. And we realized we dumped everything first. There was just all of our different videos that you could see. And we're like, oh, the new ones will be right at the top. We've tried to get better. And so that now we have them by topic. And so the newest ones right here were the ones from yesterday for the Data Summit. We have general.
I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Thank you.
Because I'm sharing. So
okay.
So go ahead. There you go.
Okay, let's see. Let's see if you can see it now. Okay, so you're going to go on our website. Let me go back to where I was. On our website, scroll down just a little bit and you'll see the YouTube link. And then you can see here we have the homepage. This is every video that we ever have under the video, so you can kind of look through. Then we have playlists that could be like our newest videos, statewide ID&R planning. We have them by different topic. But our home one, we're trying to be deliberate so that you open up and you can see, here's the Data Summit. We'll have all the ones right at the top. We've got general recruitment information, scenarios. Maybe you're feeling like you need to practice a little bit more. We have all of our scenario stuff together. We have a section on balanced recruitment, section on resources that can be provided to families. We have a full section on data resources. So the question that taking a long way to answer, specifically was about Excel. We have several trainings that are very Excel, very MEP and Excel specific. And after this session, Melissa and Sarah Seamount are going to be doing a training specifically on data reconciliation with Excel and some tools that you can use for that. But we wanted you to be able to know for the YouTube channel, if you subscribe, of course, you'll get our newest ones as they come in. You don't have to subscribe. You can just go to it. It's on the website. And we're trying to make sure that there's resources that are divided out rather than you just get this whole video, 50 million of them, and you have to try to figure out how to navigate through it. We should have done that before. I didn't have the insight to do that until the other day. So my kids would be like, man, mom, you don't know how to do YouTube very well, but we're trying to improve. But going back to the question, Melissa, if you want to go ahead, I'll stop sharing and share the screen again.
Okay, can you share the, I'm gonna share the YouTube link with Lily. So that's the YouTube link.
Yeah.
And let me go back to PowerPoint.
Can you see my?
Okay.
Okay, you got it. Okay.
So this one. Okay.
Click to the next one.
So this one, it's my favorite Excel trainers. And I think the best.
Hold on.
Yes.
I'm seeing the PandaDoc thing.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Hold on a second. Let me see why.
All right, there it is. Now it's there.
Okay. Yeah, it should be, it says that our favorite Excel trainers. Okay. So my favorite is Kirk Kershaw. He's really a great teacher. He's got videos that are like 5 minutes and he talks really nice. He says okie dokie, and it's just he's really, really nice. And then you get it, you get what he's trying to explain to you. And he explains from the basics, from what is Excel, how to put your name on Excel so it's your copy of Excel. He tells you what's a sheet, what's a cell, he explains everything. So if you needed to learn Excel from zero, you go to his channel, and that's the first link I have right there, and you follow everything. He has trainings for Excel, for Word. I mean, he is amazing. So I really recommend, or if you're looking for something specific, if you're looking for a formula, he explains formulas. So I really recommend him. Then there's Computer Gaga. That one's good too. These have more advanced tutorials as well. See it as well. This is the way a lot of people like me learn, just by looking at YouTube videos and then just following along. Because just having a document and just following, because you could go to Microsoft and just learn Excel from a document, but who wants to do that? So videos are always the best, I feel. And if you like learning like that, these are my favorites. So I recommend that you do check them out. And then we have a lot of videos, like Jessica was saying. So that's what I recommend.
Do you want to drop those links into the chat box just so that they can have that?
Sure. Okay.
And I'll start sharing my screen.
Okay, so let me stop sharing mine.
Yeah. Okay. So also of course there was a comment that Excel dictionary was a good one. So I just Googled it. And so I put that one on there. So that's any of these that you guys find that are helpful. We definitely want to be able to kind of have those resources, and maybe we want to have a list of really good trainers. I'm a big one to just Google if I don't know how to do something and try to figure it out, and it's always nice to find ones that have already figured out some of this stuff for us. We do have included in the slides some shortcuts. Sometimes it's helpful to just if you're doing a ton of data work and you want to be able to do things a little bit faster, this particular link, this Trump Excel, let me just drop this into the chat box. I can click on the right thing. This Trump Excel one has a whole ton of shortcuts that are sometimes helpful. And so we'll put that in there. And if you really feel like you're not really sure where to go with Excel, like I said, we do have a training right after this that they're going to look at some tips that could be helpful. So there is a question: I have to build data procedures in my state and don't know where to start. So we did touch on this yesterday. And this generic data manual, this is just something that you can see kind of the things that we have in it. We have the specialist role, the collection, understanding FERPA, eligibility requirements, student eligibility, just anything that you could possibly want to use to kind of build your own data manual and your own processes. We tried to just, it wasn't just us, it was our data group that really helped put that together. And it could be something that you can definitely make your own. So I feel like there's more reports that I should see in M6, but I'm not seeing them. Why can I not see this? These were one of the questions that we keep getting. And so I just want to remind you to pay attention to the kind of role that you have in M6. So if you are a data specialist and you do not have M6, yesterday we had some people reach out and say, I don't have M6. Make sure that you're talking to your supervisor or your state person to see how you can get that. But I just wanted to put this up there. There is a roles and responsibilities section in M6 that talks about the different types of roles. So if you have the wrong kind of account, you may not be able to do all the things that you need to. So you want to make sure that, and maybe you don't need to be doing some of the things, but I just wanted to put in here the kind of things that you can have, like your primary accounts. These are for recruiters, teachers, registrars. You can kind of see that you can really search and print records. You can initiate and merge splits of student records, export student records to file. But this district data administrator, you can see all the different things that they can do: resolve data quality issues, respond to escalation requests. You want to make sure that yours is the right one. So if you're a regional data administrator, of course, you can do some things that the district one can't do. If you're the regional user, some of you can set up accounts, some can't. So I just wanted to put out there that if your account, you're wondering why you don't have access to some of the things, it may be because you don't need them in your role, or it may be because you need to have your account updated so that you have access to some of those things. Of course, that would be totally based on what your state wanted you to have access to. If you are the data administrator, though, for your state and you're thinking, I don't have all those things, then you want to make sure that your account has the things that you have the right role assigned to you. So here's some examples of, some of the things that you're able to do with those different roles. Okay, so the question we want to put out to everyone, this was one that came in. I'm new into my data position and I don't really have anyone training me. What do I do? So I feel like this is something we come across a lot. Some of you, that 7% or 10% of you guys that are saying, no, I get way too much training. It definitely is the minority. It's not the largest group that's happening. So in the chat box, if you want to put a few answers there of any suggestions, like where would you go? What would you do if you're new to this and you're not sure what to do? What would you suggest? Of course, we have, some of the trainings that we have, but I think there's a lot of everyday kind of things that you're not going to find responses exactly. So any suggestions on where you would go with that? So how would you answer that question? Go ahead and use the chat box. You guys have a lot of experience. Some of you have been here a long, long time. Some have been, what would you do? SB says, request guidance from your supervisors. Yes. And sometimes your supervisor said, I would ask your director for guidance as you follow the guidelines for your state. Get a good job description so you know what you're expected to do. What happens if you're still coming up short? Because I've seen this recently where the director's new, everyone's new. Tammy, see if you can get a mentor from another state. YouTube, participate in trainings. M6 does monthly trainings. That's a very good point. Ellie from California mentions that, so you can get on those monthly trainings. Ellie, how do you get is there any place that they can sign up for those monthly trainings? Any suggestion? Let's see, any other comments? It says, I nagged my state and they are training me. I've demanded one-on-one trainings. Ellie said, yes, they can send you links via email. Emily says, request an IDRC visit. If you're new, we do work with states, our IDRC states. We do assist with their data training on that too. Any other suggestions? Visit the website, videos. Okay, well, I am going to stop recording. This is the benefit of you guys being able to attend in real time. I'm going to stop recording right now.